where complex AI gets clear. This is AI Relativity. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today's June 17th, 2025, and in this episode, we're diving into the key AI events from the week of June 9th to June 15th. Please do like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It really helps us out. Okay, let's dive in. We've got this strategic intelligence report covering AI for that week, June 9th to 15th, 2025.
Yeah, and it wasn't just, a normal week, some really big strategic moves, shifting global stuff, even some surprising tech hurdles.
Right, a lot of noise. So our goal here is to cut through that, pull out what really matters from this report, and help you understand where things might actually be heading.
And the report really flags 4 big themes this week.
Okay, what are they?
First, how the big tech companies are kind of differentiating themselves, taking different paths.
Right, not all doing the same thing.
Exactly. Second, AI becoming, a new geopolitical battleground. It's serious state-level stuff now.
Yeah.
Third, regulation, basically how it's struggling to keep up. The pacing problem.
Always the challenge. And the fourth.
The collision. Huge amounts of money pouring into AI.
Yeah.
Colliding with maybe the technical realities on the ground. What's actually possible right now.
Okay, interesting tension there. So let's unpack the report's take on these shifts.
Let's do it. The report calls this strategic differentiation. It's like a full stack war for AI, but everyone's building their stack, chips, software, data, models, apps kind of differently.
Makes sense. So who should we start with? Meta made some noise, didn't they?
They certainly did. Big news on June 12th. Meta announced they're investing over $14.3 billion.
Billion.
Yeah, billion. For a 49% stake in Scale AI.
Scale AI, the data labeling company, valuing them at what, like?
Over $29 billion. It's huge.
Wow. Why Scale AI? What's the play there?
It's all about the data. High-quality human-labeled data is like the bottleneck for training these big models.
It's a fuel.
Exactly. And Scale serves everyone, right? Google, OpenAI. So by taking almost half the company, Meta's trying to lock down a critical resource, control the supply chain upstream.
Smart, but risky. The report said Google might pull out.
Yeah, that's the immediate fallout.
Yep.
Shows the strategic impact. Suddenly, Scale isn't seen as neutral anymore. It forces others to rethink their data sources.
So it secures Meta's data, but potentially fragments the market. Did Meta announce anything else? A model?
They did, just before the Scale news. V-JEPA-2. It's a 1.2 billion parameter model.
Okay, what's special about V-JEPA-2?
It's focused on the physical world, understanding how objects interact, predicting physics, even some basic robot planning without explicit instructions. Zero-shot planning, they call it.
Physical world, robotics. That sounds like it ties into their bigger vision, like with Quest hardware.
Absolutely. The report sees this as Meta building a closed loop for physical world AI. They want to move beyond just social media, right?
Towards embodied AI.
Yeah.
Systems interacting with the real world.
Exactly. So they want the data for that via Scale AI, maybe the models that understand physics, like V-JEPA-2, and the hardware platform Quest. It's an end-to-end strategy.
Makes strategic sense. Diversification. What are the wider implications of that Scale AI deal, though?
Well, the report warns it just escalates the data arms race, makes good data even harder to get, and raises this data neutrality issue. Can Scale really serve competitors fairly now?
Probably not. Forces others to invest more in their own data pipelines. Okay, so Meta's on data and physical AI. What about NVIDIA, the chip powerhouse? They were busy in Europe.
Yeah, VivaTech in Paris. NVIDIA announced partnerships with several European countries, France, Germany, UK.
Partnerships for what?
Helping them build sovereign AI infrastructure.
Sovereign AI. What's that practically mean?
It means nations building their own AI capabilities, keeping data, models, infrastructure kind of local.
Right.
Within their borders, tailored to their needs.
Okay. And NVIDIA's role?
They're positioning their entire stack, Blackwell chips, CUD software, omniverse simulation, as the blueprint, the essential toolkit for countries to do this.
So not just selling chips, but the whole instruction manual, like an AI general contractor?
That's a good way to put it. The report says they want to be the core operating system for national AI.
What are the implications if countries sign up for this? Speed, maybe?
Speed, yes. But the report points to deep technical dependence, lock-in to NVIDIA's proprietary ecosystem.
Ah. So is it really sovereign if you're totally reliant on one company's closed standards?
That's the critical question the report raises.
Yeah.
It asks if this could be a new kind of tech colonialism, even with the sovereignty label. It's a trade-off. Quick adoption versus long-term tech independence.
Fascinating tension. And this global push must be creating a huge demand for certain skills.
Absolutely. The report highlights it'll worsen the global shortage of specialized AI talent. Not just model researchers, but people who can actually build and run this stuff.
Like the engineer.
Exactly. AI system and hardware engineers. The ones needed to design, build, maintain these massive national AI infrastructures. Huge demand, short supply.
Okay. Meta on physical AI, NVIDIA on sovereign infrastructure, then there's Apple. WWDC just happened. Were they making big AI splashes too?
Not really in the same way. The report notes, incremental updates to Apple Intelligence, but the big Siri overhaul everyone expected didn't happen.
Market reaction was kind of flat, right?
Yeah, generally described that way.
So are they falling behind? Or is it something else?
The report argues it's something else entirely. A different strategy. More defensive. Focused heavily on privacy and strengthening their existing ecosystem.
Right. They're not trying to build the biggest LLM. It's about on-device processing and this private cloud compute.
Exactly. Private cloud compute is key. The idea is if data has to go to the cloud, it goes to secure servers where even Apple can't access it, using fancy cryptography.
So they process it without seeing it, building a privacy wall.
That's the goal. A privacy mode. The report calls it asymmetric competition. Apple's competing on trust and making their ecosystems stickier, not on raw model size, using AI to keep users locked in, basically.
And they're letting other AIs in, like ChatGPT. How does that fit?
The report calls it ecosystem parasitism, which sounds harsh, but the idea is they let external models like ChatGPT operate inside their controlled private environment.
So Apple gets the cool features without building the giant models themselves.
Precisely. They leverage outside innovation, but keep control over the user experience and the data privacy aspect. Strengthens their defense.
Clever. Okay, Apple's playing defense with privacy. What about Google? They have to defend their search dominance against AI search tools, right?
Oh, yeah. And they're moving fast. The report cites data showing AI overviews are now in over 50% of U.S. search results.
50%? That's up hugely from like 10 months ago.
Way up from 25%. Google confirmed it's reaching 1.5 billion users, driving query growth. It's a massive rollout.
Is this their main weapon against Perplexity, ChatGPT, those guys?
It seems to be. A proactive defense.
Yeah.
Integrate the generative AI answers directly so you don't need to go elsewhere.
But what about their ad business? Doesn't giving the answer reduce clicks on the ad links?
That's the razor's edge. The report calls it the classic innovator's dilemma.
Right. You have to risk cannibalizing your own cash cow to avoid being disrupted by someone else.
Exactly. It's a necessary gamble. And is already reshaping SEO, right? Getting cited in the AI overview is the new goal. Plus, they're testing ads within the overviews. Huge implications for digital advertising.
Yeah, that could change everything. The report also mentioned a Matthew effect.
AI overviews tend to cite already authoritative sources. So the rich get richer, big sites get more traffic, smaller ones might get squeezed out even more. Traffic concentration.
Okay, wow. So distinct strategies from the giants. But AI isn't just corporate chess, is it? The report talks geopolitics.
Big time. It's moved way beyond just tech competition. It's core state strategy now. And China's progress is a key focus this week, specifically a company called DeepSeek.
DeepSeek. What's the story there? I saw some headlines.
Yeah, a Semaphore report warned the U.S. might be falling behind, using DeepSeek as the example. What's really striking is how they achieved their results. Training a model reportedly competitive with GPT-4o, but using restricted hardware. The less powerful NVIDIA H800 chips the U.S. limits exports on.
How'd they manage that? Better algorithms.
That's the suggestion, an asymmetric competition strategy. Using innovative engineering and algorithms, things like mixture of experts, MOE, and clever attention mechanisms to make up for less powerful chips.
Working smarter, not just harder, with the hardware they have.
Pretty much. And the other stunner, the cost.
I heard about this. It was low, right?
Astonishingly low. Reportedly around $5.6 million to train this competitive model.
$5.6 million. Compared to hundreds of millions, maybe billions for Western models. That's disruptive.
Hugely disruptive. Maybe a tenth of the cost. Combine that low cost with an open source strategy, and DeepSeek could seriously challenge the U.S.-led commercial AI ecosystem.
So the U.S. chip bans aren't a silver bullet. China's innovating around them.
That's what this suggests. And the report argues it forces the U.S. to think bigger than just chips. It needs full-stack leadership, excelling across the board. Chips, yes, but also data centers, energy, the models themselves, applications, talent, setting global standards. It's not just about having the biggest model anymore. It's about AI diffusion, actually using AI everywhere effectively.
Which explains the urgency we're seeing from Washington. The race is broader now?
Seems like it. Think tanks like CSIS, even companies like Microsoft, are pushing this full-stack idea. And there's a new crucial element: energy.
Energy. How does energy become part of AI strategy?
Because AI is incredibly power-hungry. This is critical. CSIS projects U.S. data centers might need 40 to 90 gigawatts of new power by 2030.
90 gigawatts, that's almost unimaginable, the cost.
Potentially $2 trillion just for the supporting energy infrastructure. It makes energy policy absolutely integral to AI strategy now.
So you need a plan for power alongside chips and data centers. Nuclear revival, maybe?
It's definitely part of the discussion. Calls for federal strategy, private investment in nuclear renewables, the grid.
Right.
But there's a tension the report highlights.
What's that?
U.S. pushing unilateral tech controls, like GPU export quotas,
Yeah.
kind of clashes with needing allies and a multilateral ecosystem for this full-stack effort, including energy development. Allies are reportedly unhappy, might look elsewhere.
So security first might undermine the open collaboration needed for leadership? That's tricky.
It's a major strategic bind. And the report digs even deeper into the energy geopolitics of data centers.
Okay, how is AI reshaping the energy map?
Well, the IEA predicts global data center electricity demand will double by 2030. Doubling, mostly driven by AI. U.S. data centers alone could be half of all new U.S. electricity demand growth.
Half of new demand just for data centers. Wow.
It completely changes where you build this stuff. Suddenly stable, cheap, clean power becomes maybe the deciding factor.
So companies build where the power is cheap and green, not necessarily near users?
That's the trend. The report points to the nuclear revival again. Amazon investing $20 billion in Pennsylvania, partly powered by nuclear. Real estate reports show nuclear and SMRs are being looked at very seriously. Direct connections, behind the meter.
AI driving a nuclear comeback. Wild. So compute power shifts geographically.
That's the prediction. Regions with lots of cheap, clean energy, think France, the Nordics, parts of Canada, they become magnetic for AI investment. It could redraw the global map of compute power, tying digital influence directly to energy resources.
Profound implications. Is there a paradox here? AI causing the energy crunch, but also helping solve it?
Yes. The report notes that AI is being used to optimize grids, predict renewable output, manage data center energy use. This whole AI for energy field is booming. It has to, really.
Okay, shifting gears again, we've got strategies, geopolitics, energy. What about regulation? Can anyone keep up?
That's the million-dollar question. The report talks about the pacing problem. Tech moves way faster than rules, and this week showed different regions taking very different approaches.
Like the EU AI Act, that was supposed to be the global standard setter.
Right. But reports this week suggest it might be delayed. The EU's own tech lead admitted technical standards are behind schedule.
What's holding it up? Just complexity.
Complexity is a big part. Defining those standards is hard. But also lobbying from U.S. tech worried about strict rules and internal EU debates. France worried about innovation versus others pushing for strong protections. It's the classic Collingridge dilemma.
Which is?
Hard to regulate early when you don't fully understand it, but it's cheap to change. Easy to understand later, but then it's deeply embedded and expensive or impossible to change.
So the Brussels effect, the EU setting the global standard, might weaken.
That's the risk. Delays or weaker rules open the door for regulatory arbitrage companies shopping for easier locations. And it lets the U.S. and China push their own models, leading to fragmentation, not harmony.
Any other EU Act hurdles mentioned?
Yeah, sneaky one. The AI literacy requirement from earlier this year. How do companies actually prove their employees have sufficient literacy? It could be a big compliance cost and maybe create a whole new market for literacy training services.
Interesting. Okay, EU struggling with implementation. What about the UK? Going their own way post-Brexit?
Definitely. The Data Use and Access Bill passed June 11th. And crucially, they dropped a requirement for AI devs to disclose copyrighted training data.
Really? Why drop that transparency piece?
It aligns with their whole light touch pro-innovation stance. The report suggests the UK government prioritized attracting AI business over strict copyright transparency, seeing it as a potential drag on innovation.
So the UK is trying to be the more flexible place for AI development compared to the EU.
That seems to be the strategy. A potential regulatory low point to attract investment be the nimble AI hub. But there's a risk.
Which is?
Their data protection standard might shift from essentially equivalent to the EU to just not materially lower. That could risk their data adequacy status with the EU, causing major headaches for businesses operating across both.
Right. Complex trade-offs. EU, UK diverging. What's the US approach then? Still more hands-off?
More decentralized. Industry self-regulation plays a big role, alongside federal frameworks. The report highlights the American Medical Association, the AMA,
Doctors getting involved in AI rules.
specifically for clinical AI tools. The AMA passed a resolution June 11th demanding more transparency and, crucially, independent third-party oversight of explainability.
Independent oversight. So not just letting the AI company explain its own tech.
Exactly. The AMA wants neutral medical experts to judge if a medical AI's reasoning is sound and understandable. Patient rights and trust over developer IP, essentially.
That feels vital for medicine.
It is. And the report sees this as a key battleground for AI governance in all high-risk areas: finance, law, self-driving cars. Who gets to say if the AI is explainable and safe? It also predicts this will boost a whole new AI audit and certification industry. Need for trusted third parties.
Makes sense. Okay, diverging regulations, new service industries popping up. What about the money side? Where was the investment excitement this week?
Overwhelmingly agentic AI. AI that can do things, not just generate stuff.
Autonomous agents.
Yeah. The signal came from Y Combinator's latest batch, S25, reported June 15th. Nearly half their startups, 70 out of 144, are focused on agentic AI, pulled in $35 million seed funding collectively.
YC is a big bellwether. So the VCs see agents as the next big thing after generative AI.
Seems like it. Agents that can plan, use tools, complete complex tasks. The report mentions examples targeting specific niches: Cohesive for blue-collar CRM, Aegis for healthcare claims, Pactum for automated negotiation. Practical applications.
So not just generic assistants, but agents automating specific business workflows. Could that disrupt traditional software, like SaaS?
Big time. The report suggests it could kill the per-seat subscription model. Maybe you pay per task done by the agent, an unbundling of big software suites.
That's a fundamental shift. What else did the week's investments show? Big trends.
Well, infrastructure is still king. Meta's scale AI deal proves data is gold, huge valuation. But giants are also investing higher up. Alphabet's Capital G led around for Clay Labs, an AI data analysis firm. Valuation hit $3 billion fast. Shows they want stakes in valuable applications too. And funding for Pactum, autonomized AI, validates the commercial potential of agents in specific industries.
It definitely sounds like a gold rush, but our bubble. Are people worried?
Oh yeah. The report acknowledges the bubble talk. Comparisons to .com everywhere.
Yeah.
Are the business models real? Are valuations insane? Too much reliance on VC cash.
Standard bubble worries. How does the report assess the risk? Is it 2000 all over again?
It says there are differences. Big tech players with real infrastructure are involved now. The tech does show real productivity gains sometimes. But it identifies clear bubble triggers.
Like what?
Technical roadblocks, like that model collapse thing we need to talk about.
Yeah.
If that's a dead end, yeah, big problem. Commercialization failure if agents can't find paying customers. A macro shock rates rise, recession hits, VC dries up. Or a regulatory crackdown, any of those could pop in.
Okay, lots of potential triggers.
The report suggests thinking of it as a two-layer bubble. Infrastructure layer, NVIDIA, scale AI, the core stuff, probably more solid, selling picks and shovels.
Right.
Application layer, especially generic agents, much more fragile. Their success depends entirely on the underlying models working reliably. Which brings us to
the technical frontier. Progress, but also limitations revealed this week.
Exactly. We mentioned Meta's V-JEPA 2, NVIDIA's Omniverse, trying to connect agents to the physical world, embodied AI. Big academic push here, too, like at CVPR.
But getting AI to work reliably in the messy physical world is way harder than the digital world, right?
Much harder. The report lists the challenges. Integrating with old hardware, real-time performance needs, safety, reliability, physical mistakes matter, and dealing with noisy, uncertain, real-world data.
So practical physical AI is still a ways off. Where will agentic AI likely succeed first?
The report thinks digital domains: software testing, customer service bots, marketing automation, controlled environments, lower risk. Physical AI will take longer, more failures along the way. Need realistic expectations.
Makes sense. But you mentioned a major technical counterpoint this week, something about models collapsing.
Yes, this is huge and directly relevant to all that agentic AI hype. Apple researchers published a paper around June 9th.
Apple again. What did they find?
They tested the big advanced models, LRMs, large reasoning models on complex logic puzzles, towers of Hanoi variations, river crossing problems, stuff that requires planning.
Yeah.
Past a certain difficulty, the models just collapsed. Complete accuracy collapse, the paper calls it.
Not just getting worse, but totally failing on problems humans could solve.
That's the finding.
Yeah.
The report's take is this strongly implies the models aren't truly reasoning. They're doing incredibly sophisticated pattern matching, imitating stuff from their training data.
But when the problem goes beyond the patterns they've seen.
The imitation breaks down completely.
Wow. Did the paper find anything else weird?
Yeah, something counterintuitive. As the problems got harder, right before collapsing, the models actually used less compute. They seemed to think less, not more like humans do.
That is weird. What's the big takeaway? Does this challenge the whole bigger is better scaling approach to AGI?
The report argues yes, absolutely. Brute force scaling might hit a wall for genuine reasoning. And this directly impacts agentic AI. If the core models can't reliably reason through complex novel problems, how truly autonomous can agents be? It limits their potential.
So model collapse isn't just about models learning from bad synthetic data.
Right, that's one type. This Apple paper points to a different, maybe deeper reasoning collapse. Both are major hurdles. It's pushing research towards new ideas, maybe hybrid systems, not just bigger versions of the same thing.
Sobering stuff. What about the academic pulse? CVPR just finished. Any key trends there?
Yeah, CBPR is the top computer vision conference. The report flagged the award winners. Best paper from Meta AI Oxford on real-time 3D geometry estimation. Best student paper from Toronto on reconstructing 3D scenes using light physics.
Sounds like a big focus on 3D vision, understanding the physical world.
Exactly. The report says the trend is moving beyond 2D images to 4D world modeling. 3D space plus time, understanding dynamic scenes, that's the foundation needed for real physical AI, self-driving robotics, AR, VR.
Okay, we've covered a ton. Giant strategies, geopolitics and energy, regulation messiness, the agentic AI rush versus tech limits. What are the key takeaways for you, the listener, from this week's report?
The report boils it down to a few things. For investing or business strategy, it suggests a dumbbell approach.
Dumbbell, how does that work?
Heavy weights at the ends, thin bar in the middle. So invest heavily in the foundational infrastructure, compute, data, energy. That's the safer base, the mix and shovels.
Okay, the solid ends.
Then on the other end, take smaller, diverse bets on specific agentic AI vertical solutions, agents solving real problems in specific industries. But understand that application layer is higher risk, tech uncertainty, business model risk. Diversify those smaller bets.
Infrastructure-based, targeted application bets. Makes sense. Anything else for business?
Keep an eye on AI governance as a service, GaaS. With all the complex, diverging global rules, companies will need help with audits, compliance, training. Could be a big new market.
Got it. And for companies actually using AI or individuals?
Focus on your specific problems. Don't just chase the newest model. Fix your data first. Get it organized, accessible, AI ready. Look for specialized AI tools that solve your pain points.
Practical focus. And given the model collapse finding,
Don't trust current AI blindly, especially for critical reasoning. Keep humans in the loop for important stuff. Have backup plans. Don't deploy autonomous agents for high-stakes decisions without serious oversight.
good warning. Lastly, talent and skills. What's needed now?
It's shifting. Yes, top model scientists are needed, but the demand is surging for full-stack AI engineers, people who can integrate systems, ML ops engineers who deploy and manage models reliably, the practical skills of making AI work in the real world.
Building and managing is key now.
And AI literacy. Not just for techies. Everyone needs a basic understanding of what AI can and can't do, its limits, how to use it safely. It's becoming a core competency.
That was definitely a deep dive into a packed week. We saw the giants carving out paths, AI as a geopolitical stage with energy as a key player, regulations trying to catch up, agentic AI hype-hitting technical reality checks, and shifts in money and skills.
It really shows how fast and how broadly AI is changing things. It's everywhere.
Indeed. So here's a final thought for you to chew on, connecting a few threads. If AI compute power follows cheap, clean energy, as the report suggests, concentrating in certain regions, what does that do to global influence? Does energy abundance become the new digital high ground?
Or flipping it.
Yeah.
If scaling current models isn't the path to true reasoning, as the Apple paper hints, what kind of fundamental breakthrough is needed? And where might that radically different approach come from? Something to watch.
Definitely something to watch. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the source material. We hope this helps you make sense of it all. Keep exploring. Where complex AI gets clear, this is AI Relativity. And one last reminder, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Thanks for listening.